Yo guys, Maurice here, Rapid Gamer, and today is the day. F1 2020 is now released, and we are gonna jump straight into some gameplay for you guys. We're gonna go on the new Zandvoort track on 110% AI, 25% race, damage, strict corner cutting, and all my assists are off, just like the last game. There it is for confirmation. And yeah, I'm just going to jump straight into this. I've done a time trial lap around this track, but apart from that, we have not done any practice on this track, so it's just purely just getting used to the game. So now I'm pretty excited for this game. I know the handling module and the ERS is all changed, so this is the first time I'm using it and using the different ERS modules. So you can see now we're actually enabling the overtake button before the start, which actually gets us a pretty good start. And our teammate there not getting a very good start, so now I'm going to try and go around the outside of him, around the outside of two cars, trying to go around the outside of the Red Bull. But you can see now the AI just pushes us out like we were not even there. So still the AI not perfect and need improvement, but we still managed to hold the track. And we're trying to go around the outside now of Albon. Again, he just cuts us off there as well, like we're not there. So again, the AI still need a bit of improvement, but we did enable the overtake button a little bit. And now come down into these fast corners. I have to say the handling feels amazing on this new game. The amount of grip and that you have in the high speed corners is just such an amazing experience, as we just have a think about going down the inside. But yeah, like it feels completely like a revamped game. It's such a good experience. The high speed grip that you have just makes you want to go faster to generate that downforce. Just in the slow speed, it's a little understeery as well, I think, but it makes it a little bit more technical, as you want that downforce, in the high speed as well, but the low speed you get that little bit of downforce. And I think dirty air is a factor now, so we enable the overtake button. You can see the boost that they enable us to have, enabling that overtake button. It's just absolutely ridiculous, but it does drain really rapidly, so it is again an element of skill there when to use it. You're not going to be using it the whole race. Have a little lock up there, but this corner is not actually you don't really get affected when you actually lock up too much to go. I like this track, it's so flowing, and the elevation changes and everything, especially going through this corner. The high speed, the amount of grip you got, it's it's a really good experience. I'm already loving this new game. Going a little bit deep there, but really loving this game already. This is on 110% AI, so the maximum AI. We're just going straight in the deep end and seeing what we can do on this game around this track. And so far so good, up into P2. And yeah, as I said, I'm really liking the game. The graphics and all the little sort of changes, like constant your delta is constantly changing. I really like that little feature, and all the little MFD different features as well. And yeah, the game feels really good. Braking, it feels a little bit better as well, and traction as well. And as I said, just the downforce and the grip that you have is really good. Really good on the brakes into this first corner as well. Gaining a bit of time on Verstappen there. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you hit that notification bell and hit that subscribe button, as I'm going to be posting a lot of F1 2020 content. And yeah, if you have any comments that you want to post down below, or what tracks you want to see next, or if you want me to do time trials or whatever, just put them down in the comments, and I'll make sure I reply to every single one of you guys. So now, yeah, we're just getting into the groove of the track, getting more familiar with the handling. Every lap I do, I'm just getting more and more confident with the car itself. We're still in the DRS zone here. You can see though, ERS is actually like around about 45%. We're getting quite a lot under the braking there, of ERS under the braking, but it's always in mode 1. You can't turn it off. It's always in mode 1, so you're always using a little bit of ERS. But when you can see now we've enabled the overtake button, and just how quickly it's drained it's ridiculous, but it does give you such a big boost. So really, you're not going to be using it every lap, as you'll see later on in the race. You won't be using it every lap. You just want to use it maybe if you want to really catch someone up, or make an overtake, or maybe defend from someone who's pretty close to you. It just gives you that little boost, and it really helps you. Differences from the old game, I'd say braking is a lot easier with, as I use no assist, or ABS is a little bit easier. Traction's a little bit easier, but it's just mainly the handling, the speed you can actually carry through the corners. I think Codemasters had a bit of input from real F1 drivers as well. The MFD's pretty much the same, but the front brake bias, you can now change it by just one at a time. Before you had to change it in twos, so now you can just change it by one, which is really good. And I know a lot of people wanted that as well. That was a bit frustrating when you could only change it by two, but now you can change it by one. Again, we're gaining on Verstappen now, using that overtake button. And you can see we're draining it now. We're in 19%, but we're going to pull to the outside, and we're out braking, go around the outside, and that is us now up into P1 in this race. And yeah, I was feeling pretty happy with myself, since I've only done literally spent about 5 minutes of time trial on this, and then we just jumped in to a 110% AI race. And every lap I do, just felt more and more comfortable and really consistent in this car, and I really enjoy this track as well. The elevation changes, throwing it in through these high speed corners is really, really good. You can see that we're pretty much thrown it on the edge, but you can see now that is an example of how strict and consistent the track limits are. They're really nailed down on that, really, because you see we're going a little bit deep and we're coming under pressure there from Verstappen, but they have really nailed down on how consistent the track limits are, because in the other game you could get away with quite a few things, and now it's very consistent and strict, so you kind of know the limit now. Before it was pretty hard to know the limit as we go a little bit deep and almost lose the car, but managed to keep it under control now, enabling the overtake button just for a split second, just for that little boost. And yeah, we're on 20% now. I think I'm going to plan to just try and save a little bit of ERS now, but we're so good through this first sector. Yeah, it's so, you have to be so committed around this track, but when you are committed, it feels so good, with yourself, and it just feels so satisfying. I can't stress enough the downforce and the grip that you have, and the complete difference from 2019. You can see now with the fuel though, fuel is a lot easier to manage. Fuel does not drain literally half as quick as the old game. It's so much easier to save fuel, so I guess you don't have to put in as much fuel. Literally, in standard, it doesn't just run down your fuel. It's a lot easier to save your fuel on this game, so that's another benefit. Because you'd have to go lean literally every corner just to save fuel. I think it was just too many changes that we were having to make. It was starting to get really unrealistic, and I think that's another bit of input that they got from the real F1 drivers. And obviously the ERS, you don't change it every lap in the real life F1 car. So now I was just feeling pretty confident now. I was just really getting into sync with this track. I just really love this track, to be fair. This new track, we're really getting to grips with it. I'm thinking of doing, next track I'll probably do is Hanoi, the other new circuit. So let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do that, or if you want any other tracks. Just drop down in the comments, and I'll make sure I reply to every one of you guys. And yeah, going back to the handling though, it's in the high speed you get so much grip and downforce, but in the low speed it's actually pretty tricky, to be fair. You wouldn't think it, but it actually is. You get quite a bit of understeer, but this is a completely default setup. We are on just the default setup, no setups, default setup, and yeah, we're feeling pretty comfortable. As the AI are much more aggressive now, so they actually do try for moves, as Verstappen tries a little move there, but he actually makes a little bit of contact with us, managing to just collect the car there nicely. And yeah, I was really happy with how I'm driving and how the car feels, and how Codemasters have improved the game quite a lot. I'm much happier with this game. It's much more realistic, and I feel like the cars are definitely a lot quicker, and I feel like with the league races coming up, you'll be able to see in the races, it'll be really interesting, in the races, how people are driving and how the races turn out to be. There's, racing against more competitive and real drivers, as I will be joining a new league, but that is yet to be revealed. So make sure you stay tuned to my channel. Another difference in the game, I would say, is definitely the AI. They are so much more aggressive. They'll go for moves that you would not expect in the other game, where they'll really just only go for an obvious move like down the straight, or if they're like maybe 3/4 alongside you, they're still trying to stay up your inside. But now they'll absolutely send a move like from quite far back, or if you leave a little gap, they will literally just go for it. And I think they're just so much more aggressive, and even if you're like alongside them, they're like prone to like push you out still, so they still haven't, you know, perfected that in the game. And another thing is, the AI now do make mistakes. They do make mistakes. In the previous game, I know they rarely even made a mistake. I don't think they even did make mistakes, so you'd have to drive pretty much perfect, which is obviously no one's perfect, so they do make mistakes now, and which is another good sign and another good feature in the game. And I think there's the subtle details, you know, like you know, the MFD and different things, like when you're loading up to the game, all the sort of changes. It's a really good improvement, and I think this is one of the best games yet, to be fair. And you can just see, you know, the commitment that we have. Only having done like 5 minutes of a time trial, like setting 2 laps of time trial, that's all I did on around this track, and we're already just settling so nicely. And you can see now, for a couple of laps, we haven't actually used the overtake button. So every lap, you don't need to use the overtake button. You just, you know, you're always using a little bit of ERS, but it's not a must. You can see we've got the pace, so there's no need to use the overtake button. We're not under any threat yet, so there's just no need to use it. And you can see we're using it a little bit on the straight. We're just trying to get out of the DRS zone of Albon, but really there's no need to be using it on every single straight, and that will actually compromise you a little bit, as it just drains your energy so quickly. So you don't need to use it on every straight. So coming down to this, because one of my favourite corners now in the game, the elevation change, and you can use the camera and really get a good exit. And this is another one of my favourite corners of the track. I'd say this is one of my most favourite now. Just the commitment, when you commit, you can just really just throw in the car and the high speed grip that you have. But one thing I've noticed on this track, the left front tyre does really just start to overheat. So once you keep turning right, you know, later on in the race, like now for example, my tyres are quite worn, you start to feel a little bit more understeer, you know, in high speed corners. Like you would, like at the start, you'd be so committed, and I think because there's a lot of left hand turns, you know, the left front starts to overheat quite a lot, as you'll see later on in the race when I'm flicking through my MFD, and it really does you know, bring a bit of more of a skill element, as you can change individual tire pressure, so that might be a thing. But now we're coming into the pits for the first time. I've never been in the pit lane, so just caking it, a little bit cautious there. Just the first time going in the pit lane. Again, the pit animations have changed a little bit, so they're a little bit more realistic. So that's another thing. And you can see the pit lane, you know, the animation at the top is different as well. So going through this pit entry for the first time, almost going over the track limits there, as I did not know where to go, but we've managed to maintain first position and maintain the lead nicely. And we're now on the medium tyres, so this is the first time being on these medium compound tyres. And yeah, so we're just going to just fully commit through this corner and see how much grip we've got. So going through this one, this is probably the highest speed corner on the track, and going through it, I was really impressed. I turned in a little bit earlier than I expected, and they actually really did just grip nicely. And yeah, the medium tyres feel well, they perform well as well, and you still get that nice level of downforce. So I was feeling pretty confident on these tyres as well. It's just that every lap I did, I just gained so much more confidence, and I understood, you know, the car and the handling a lot better. And you can see I'm just using standard and rich most of the time, and in the previous game that would, you know, drain my fuel down a little bit more, as you see, losing the back end a little bit there. But you can just see the commitment that we now have. I feel a lot more committed on this game than the previous game. As a lot of people probably would agree that you don't really feel what the car's doing underneath you, more looking at visual stuff and like what the car's doing and reacting to that. I feel like this game you feel way more connected to the car. You can really feel what the car is doing. It just gives you that more confidence just to throw in the car more and more, and just, you know, try and push as much as you can to the limit, because you can actually now feel when the car is going to break away from you, so you're already, you know, trying to react to that, whereas before you just didn't really know anything. You can see the commitment and the grip that you have compared to F1 2019. It's really remarkable. They've done a good job. I think it's one of the best games yet. And yeah, I was just getting more and more familiar with the track. It's a pretty nice track. I really like it, as I said before. And yeah, we're in Rich. I'm putting it back down to lead. You can see we're getting quite a lot of fuel on the lead as well. It's just so much easier to save fuel, to be fair. And one thing you may have noticed as well, we haven't used the overtake button for quite a few laps now, so we've got it back up to about 66%. You can see in mode 1 we are still using a bit, but now we deploy the overtake button and we've saved quite a lot of VRS there. Just gives us that little boost. You can see the constant change in the you know, the gap, the delta. I really like that feature. And yeah, we're just so committed now, and I just feel really comfortable in this game. And the nice exits and the high speed is probably one of the best things in the game. Just throwing the car in, feeling so committed with the car. It's one of the best feelings really in this game. I don't know if you saw when I was pitting, there's a purple sector now, so we're really pushing quite hard on this lap, and we're just getting so familiar with the car, getting good exits and good traction. Another little feature is you get a big black box like just above the MFD to say your pit window's now open. That's another nice feature now. So now we actually decided to push in this lap now, so we're leaving it in Rich here, going a little bit deep into that corner, but still getting some good traction and good exit. Now through this last corner, just going to give it everything, fully commit, leave it in 5th gear, then downshift to 4th just to get that little bit extra rotation. But extra rotation is not really a thing in this game anymore. It doesn't give you that big boost as before, like almost like a handbrake really. And we come across the line to set the fastest lap on medium tyres of a 13.0. I don't have any references to see if that's good or not, but it felt like a really good lap to me anyway. And yeah, you can just see we're just so committed lap after lap after lap. I don't know if I can see in my drive, and I'm way more committed than I was on the other game. It's just that you just feel more connected to the car, so you can push more, and you know the limits of the car really. So you can, you know, you can really just give it everything you can. You can see for that high speed, I just love that corner, and this corner as well. When you fully commit, that's a really fast corner. And now I was just feeling pretty confident. You know, we're pulling out front now. Gap's nearly 1.5 seconds, and this 100% AI is getting beaten. What can I say? I do feel like, though, for like the average player, I do consider myself as a competitive player. For the average player, I think that it will really put up a fight for them. They will definitely find it a little bit difficult, I would say. You'd really struggle maybe to keep up with them, but as I feel like I'm a competitive player, they are challenging. But once I felt I got in the rhythm, I was just able to just constantly keep them out of the DRS zone and slightly break away. I feel like I was a lot better than in this first sector. I was pretty confident in this, you know, flicking it left and flicking it right, using a lot of curb there, losing the back end a tiny bit for this corner, use the banking and just get such a nice exit. And you can see how much we pulled now. The gap's up to 1.6. So I was feeling really confident in myself and the pace that I was showing, and just how the car feels and handles. This is the first Grand Prix that I've done, and another mistake there, and you're just so consistent and consistently strict, which I am a fan of and I really enjoy. That they've really nailed down in the track limits. So that's another example of how consistent it is, because sometimes you may take the line once and get a warning, and then like in 2019, but then you take it again and you might not. So yeah, I like how they are more consistent, the track limits. But I feel like league racing will be a lot more competitive, but it will really shine on the drivers that have that raw pace, as you can't just sit behind. You don't really want to sit behind someone, because I do feel like dirty air is a bit of a bigger factor now in this game, as that's more realistic. When you're following the car, it's a bit a little bit more understeering, especially in the high speeds as well. You don't have this like grip when you're out in open air, so you probably do want to be the car ahead. And as I said, you don't want to, you're not gonna be using overtake every single lap. Otherwise, you just really have no ERS. You can see we're hovering around 15% now after doing that push lap. So you're not really going to be wanting to use an overtake every lap. You probably use it at the start or just when you're under pressure, really, or you want to make a move. It's just that little extra boost besides, what you call it? Besides, DRS. So, I don't think people are going to abuse it because you can't really. It won't benefit you if you keep using it every single lap. You'll pretty much have no ERS and get gapped. But yeah, I'm really liking this game. As I said, it's one of the best that they've made. I really enjoy it. I'm liking my new camera settings as well. And you can see though, as I went for the MFD, the left front was on 160 degrees because there is a lot of right-hand corners. You've got this first corner here, and then you've got this next corner, this swooping fast left, and obviously you've got the dip, which is in the other direction. That's a really nice corner, satisfied using the camber to your advantage. And then obviously you've got another right-hander now here, and that's a really fast one and takes a lot of the tires. But once you go on in the race, once your tire, that left front starts to overheat, you feel a little bit more understeer in that corner. You see you've got another right-hander there, and now another one as well. So I think that's maybe why the front left starts to overheat a lot more. But as in the setups now, you can change the tire pressures individually. It's not just the fronts are on a certain and the backs are on a certain. You can actually do them each individually. So you may be, for the setups, you may want to just set the front left a little bit lower than the other tires. So let me know if you guys want me to do setup guides as well. I'll be more than happy to do that. Just drop comments down of what you want to see in this new game, and I'll try and make everything that you say happen. And now we're moving on to the final lap, so we're just gonna enjoy this final lap now, push as much as possible, and just give it everything really. Bearing in mind that we do have those 2 warnings. Coming to this corner now, nice using the camber, short shift a little bit, gives you a little bit better traction. And we're just using the overtake now, just using everything we've got. It's the final lap. We've pulled the gap up now to 2 seconds, so you can just see how much pace we had. And here's the max AI, 110%. So for my first go, my first Grand Prix on the game, making a little bit of a mistake there, going a little bit deep. As I said, the slow speed corners are particularly tricky. It's a little bit understeer, but I don't know if that's just down to the default setup, but I think that is in the the handling module as well. But yeah, just giving it everything on this last lap, using all the ARS, might as well. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this went. My first Grand Prix on the game, so literally just dropping into it and dropping onto a new track, and we've settled into the game really well. So I'm hoping for some nice good results, and we've come across the line now to take P1 in this Grand Prix with Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. So guys, if you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button, and make sure you hit that subscribe button as well, and hit that notification bell, because I'll be doing more F1 2019 content. Peace.